Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Yeah. To anyone out there who is hurting, it's not a sign of weakness to ask for help. It's a sign of strength. I quote here Barack Obama. The Atmashoda Counseling Cell at Nirmala Institute of Education truly resonates with this beautiful quote. There are different phases in our lives where we all become vulnerable to forms of hurt and pain. At times, we shy away from seeking the help that is really needed, not understanding that asking for help is indeed a sign of strength. Walking up to this conference hall, I'm sure you all have noticed beautifully decorated kites with quotes on the importance of mental health and why you and your life really matters. And as much as we talk about the fact that people need to ask for help when they don't feel good, the truth remains that many people don't. They choose to suffer in silence due to various stigmas associated with mental health. That is where this whole concept of being a gatekeeper for suicide prevention comes in. Now you may wonder, what exactly is this gatekeeper? What does it mean? And how can I be one? Let me brief you a bit. A gatekeeper is someone who believes that suicide can be prevented at the community level and is willing to give time and energy for this cause. Gatekeepers could be teachers, parents, hostel wardens, police, or lay counselors. Empowering the gatekeepers with required knowledge and skills is a very important step in suicide prevention. Empathy being a very important quality that gatekeepers should possess. As Father Henry Nouwen so beautifully puts it, when we honestly ask ourselves which person in our lives mean the most to us, we often find that it is those who, instead of giving advice, solutions, or cures, have chosen rather to share our pain and touch our wounds with a warm and tender hand. The friend who can be silent with us in a moment of despair or confusion, who can stay with us in an hour of grief and bereavement, who can tolerate not knowing, not curing, not healing, and face with us the reality of our powerlessness. That is a friend who really cares. With this, on behalf of the Atmashoda Counseling Cell, the faculty and students of the Postgraduate Diploma in Guidance and Counseling at Nirmala Institute of Education, I, Dr. Denise Rodrigues, consider it a great honor to welcome the expert who will be addressing us today, Dr. Peter Castelino. Sir, we are very grateful to have you address us today. A very warm welcome goes out to our director, Dr. Rita Pace. Thank you for gracing us with your honored presence. Plants need water to grow and thrive. Similarly, the mind of a human being needs love, understanding, empathy, positivity, and care to flourish. At Nirmala's, we believe that caring for the environment promotes the holistic well-being of an individual. I now call upon Dr. Peter Castelino, Dr. Rita Pez, Ma'am Lucette Virginkar, and Ma'am Mrs. Linda Santos to come forward and formally inaugurate the session by watering the potted plant. I now call upon my classmate, Ms. Aditi Naik, to come forward and assist the dignitaries for the same. Kindly take your seats. Thank you, dignitaries. Thank you, Aditi. I now call upon my classmate, Mrs. Deborah Goes Proentia, to introduce our honored and esteemed speaker, Dr. Peter Castelino.
Dr. Peter Castelino is the founder and managing director of COOJ Mental Health Foundation, which runs a suicide prevention program in Goa, and is a consultant psychiatrist having his own private practice in Mapsa. He has initiated programs in psychosocial rehabilitation of people with psychological disabilities, as well as geriatric and dementia care. He is a past president of the Psychiatric Society of Goa, member of the Goa State Mental Health Authority, member of the International Association for Suicide Prevention. He is a fellow of the Indian Psychiatric Society and has received the Bagadia Award from them. We welcome you, Dr. Peter.
For that moment, which we have all eagerly gathered here, we now request you, Dr. Peter, to please go ahead and start the session.
This is fine. Yeah, thank you. Hello, it's on. Hello, can you hear me? Hello? Hello? It's off. Huh? Okay, it's not. Okay. Yeah, thank you for this invitation to talk to you about a topic which is very close to me, and that's suicide prevention. Yeah, and I feel almost that I'm actually going to be preaching to the choir. So I see all the experts in the field over here, so probably we can learn together and maybe understand the subject a little better from the input shared by from both of us. At the introduction, she mentioned that this is a gatekeeper workshop. And she also said, who are gatekeepers? So basically, gatekeepers are anyone who have the knowledge and the capacity to support somebody else in that particular area. So we're looking at preparing ourselves to be gatekeepers for suicide prevention. Now, this work that we do is not easy work. I mean, it may sound theoretically, when we go through the workshop, it may sound quite easy, quite simple, like if you just know the techniques, it's quite simple. But what it requires is a lot of presence of mind of ourselves. It requires us to be first set right with ourselves, to be in control of our own emotions, our own feelings, our own reactions to issues, and only then can we actually undertake such kind of work. But having said that is, I'm talking to you because you all are professionals. But then suicide prevention, and we do not give this workshop only to counselors or budding counselors or teachers, we give it to even lay people. So we've had such workshops given to students, and I think one of the best workshops I gave, similar, was to a bunch of fourth standard students. And we gave it to them because they lost one of their classmates to suicide. He hanged himself. And it was a very tragic loss of life. But I tell you, those students were so receptive. They understood the concept. They told us only if this boy had to do X, Y, Z, only if we had to do X, Y, Z, that child's life would have been saved. So they were very alert and very aware. And for us, that was one of the best workshops we had. We've given it to professionals, to directors, to principals, and some of them have been so boring, I tell you. There's no receptivity. And I feel the flexibility in the young minds made the understanding so much better. She used the word empathy. And this particular work in suicide prevention is all about empathy. It's a very easy word. We know it left, right, and center, but I tell you to put it in practice when the need arises, when someone calls you in the middle of, whatever you're doing, and I want to end my life. You say, oh gosh, you're caught up. To empathize with somebody at that time needs practice, needs self-working, and it needs us to build ourselves. It's like in a tennis match. I mean, you can play tennis, but there's a difference between us playing tennis and the professionals playing tennis. There is something about them which they've developed within themselves that will allow them not to give up. Till the last moment, you'll find they're losing, but still they won't give up, and sometimes they win. Yeah. So empathy is something like that. It's easy, we know it, we've learned it, but unless we practice it, and through our practicing, we learn where we are faltering. And therefore, this work that all of us are undertaking needs constant self-checks. We need to check ourselves, we need to check, because we make mistakes. We all make mistakes, and unless we become aware of those mistakes and correct those mistakes, we will still be making those mistakes. Technically, theoretically, we'll all be right. And I'll tell you, many of you all are counselors, you all know this. You'll find people have gone to many people and they say, I've gone to professional counselors. They charge me a bomb, And if you go in bigger cities, it's an explosion of the charges, It's an explosion. But I didn't feel that connect. I just didn't feel that they were with me. I feel they were so engrossed within what they felt was right for me, So it's important that we know because in suicide prevention, you need to be 100% there for that person in that moment. That can make or break. Yeah. So when we look at suicide prevention, do we really need to be spending the next 1.5 hours talking about this topic? What do you all think? Do we really need to be spending the next 1.5 hours talking about this topic? Is it that important? There are so many other issues pressing right now. I just came from a whole morning workshops on HIV/AIDS. The numbers over there were alarming. Okay, so shouldn't we be spending more time on counseling people with HIV/AIDS? Should we be spending more time with, the coronavirus and people being affected by the virus? There's so many other pressing needs. Do we need to be spending the next 1.5 hours on suicide prevention? Yeah, because I want you all to be like those 4th standard students. Free-spirited. Make mistakes. There is no right and wrong. We'll all learn together. Yeah? And correct me if I'm wrong also. Yeah?
No, because this is a waste of a life. And you want to stop that in some way.
Yeah. But is it so? It's like we'll always spend more time on things that are more urgent, that are always the priority of needs, right? So do you think spending time on understanding this subject is important? Yes, you all said yes. Why? Because if you look at does it fall in the priority of needs?
Yeah, but just that moment where the person feels I have to end my life, but then later.
Yeah, but is that a huge problem? There's one person here and there who want to end their life. Is it really a big problem that?
Increasing nowadays because earlier if not personally we must have not understood in this lockdown which I got 2 of my friends were status, RIP so and so, and when I asked they told that it's a suicide. Closely now people are trying to attempt, and the second thing I feel is easily we give up with that.
Okay. So you're saying we've come to a point in our thinking processes and in our where our resilience is coming down. Yeah, where we're giving up more easily, and now we don't mind even sharing it to the world that this is our plans, this is what we are doing. And true. People are now expressing it more. They're actually putting it out there. And then what is our response when people put it out there? So what do you think was the messages that came in on that status? What were the feedback of people? How did they respond to that message? Do you remember? What was the response? Yeah. Yeah, okay, you don't remember. But you know what? And this is, even though we are working in this field for so many years, sometimes we are still confused. We are still confused how to respond to this person. Is this person really wanting to end his life? Is he just throwing a tantrum? Is he just putting it out there for the world to see? What is it? So sometimes we question ourselves and our responses because we don't know. And also it comes to in the point sometimes we are so drained. We are so drained. And these messages will come at 11, 12 o'clock at night. And how do we respond? And the best thing is, people, after they finish their work, everything is, at that time it becomes very urgent for them. And that's the end of our day. How do we respond to an urgency when it comes up at 12 o'clock, 1, 2 in the morning? So all these kind of issues actually come up. And this begins to help for us to question ourselves and our abilities and what is the way forward. But yes, to answer, so she says that people are putting it out there, number one. What else do you think could be why we need to spend our time to...
The pandemic has also...
The pandemic has worsened the situation. It has worsened the situation, and you're very right. The pandemic has worsened the situation. But what is the prevailing situation? If you're saying worsening the situation, what is the prevalence? So if I ask you, if you look at across India, okay? If you look at across India, or forget India, around the world, how many people lose their life to suicide annually around the world? What do you think are those figures? Anyone? Around the world? Throw a figure. Take any figure.
1 million?
1 million, okay. She says 1 million. Is she right? Do we go up? Do we go down? Huh? 1 million, okay, the auction starts. Yeah? So 1 million is 1 followed by 6 zeros, right? So that's... Do you think that's the figure? Do we go up? Do we go down? Is that too much? Huh? It's too much. Okay, so Sister Wendy, if it's too much, where do you think we should go? Down. How much lower? Anyone? Throw a figure. We will learn only if we become like little children. Please. Throw a figure. 500,000. Okay, so she's gone to half. Is that too much or is that too less? It's too less. So we're looking between 500,000 and 1 million. Okay. Now, where? So the official figures is 800,000. Yeah? The official figures by WHO is 800,000, but we all know that it's about 1 million. Yeah, and it's probably even more than 1 million. But the official figures, which have been pretty static over so many years, shows 800,000. Yeah, so there are many reasons for that. No, many reasons for that. So let's take the official figures. Okay, 8 lakh. Okay, so out of 8 lakh is around the world. How much from that 8 lakh do you think come from India? If 8 lakh is from around the world, India contributes to how much? Again, a wild guess. Your guesses are pretty good. Yeah? Yeah? Try.
Maybe 1 lakh.
Maybe 1 lakh? How many of you all agree with her? No. So how much do you think? You agree with her, okay. How many choose? So the rest of you all disagree with her. Okay, so if you all disagree, what are the answers? What do you think? Throw a figure. More than a lakh. Okay, very good. How much more than a lakh? More than a lakh? Less than 2 lakhs?
About 2 lakhs.
About 2 lakhs, and you're right. Yeah, it's about 1,75,000 is again the approximate figures. This represents almost 20%. It's a little less than 20%, say 17 to 18% of the global suicides. So almost, if you see, 1 out of every 5 suicides around the world happen from India. Yeah? That means we may say that India's population is huge and therefore the suicide rate is high, but China has a bigger population. China's population is bigger, but their suicide rate is much lower. Much lower. Yeah? So the national rate of suicide, the national in India, is 10.4 per lakh population. Yeah, 10.4. Now, do you think Goa is an educated state, economically we are better, do you think our suicide rate is higher or lower than the national average? Do you think more people end their lives in Goa compared to the rest of India? It's higher. Do you all agree with him? Come on, you're looking at Goa. Goa. Susegad Goa. Yeah? Yeah? But it is higher? Why? What do you think could be the reasons why it's higher?
Stress.
Okay.
Facing stress, unemployment problem.
Okay. Okay. Stress, unemployment. Okay. So it's very interesting. So if it's 10.4 is the national average, what do you think it's in Goa? Throw a figure.
4 to 1.
Huh? No, 10.4. So if it's higher in Goa, then it would be 12. Okay, she says 12. Anyone wants to change that figure? We need to change that figure. We need to change that figure, okay? Let's go a little bit higher. 15, let's go a little bit higher. Little bit lower. 16.8. Yeah, 16.8 is the rate of suicide in Goa. Which is, see the difference, it's much higher in Goa. Okay, if you look at southern states of India, Kerala 23, Pondicherry 54. Yeah. Let's go to northern states. What do you think is the rate of suicide in Bihar? Bihar. Now I've given you 3-4 places. Tell me Bihar.
I think Bihar will also be about 12 to 11.
12. Let's go lower. 10. Let's go lower. Let's go lower. Let's go lower. Let's go lower. Let's go a little higher. Let's go lower. 0.3. 0.3. Now, I want to ask you, in Bihar, no unemployment? So what is it in Bihar or northern states of India where the rate of suicide is much lower compared to southern states of India where the rate of suicide is much higher? Why is this discrepancy? Family support. So we have no family support and they have very good family support. Standard of living is lower there. So if you want to survive, you shouldn't increase the standard of your living. We don't know. See, ultimately, in the answers, we do not know. But studies are happening right now to find out, to figure out why is this discrepancy happening and what is it in South India which makes stress or maybe the coping of stress much lower. One theory is that the South Indians are Dravidians. You know, the origins are Dravidians. The North Indians were fighters, Kshatriyas. You know, so they fought their stress. You know, we built on that. That could be one theory. The other theory is that because with higher education comes higher expectations. Yeah? That could be a second one. And the third one, which I feel is one very important thing, is reporting. Yeah? So we over here in our, like in Goa, reporting of births and deaths is excellent, right? is excellent. Whereas this is not happening in a lot of states in India. They do not report deaths. Death certification is very poor. The person will die, he is buried, he is this thing, everything, and then they'll come later and give his death certificate. Cause of death, no one knows. You can write anything. Yeah. So I feel this is one contributory factor, because what I see it over here also. Sometimes people do end their lives, and see, like in Catholic institutions, they will not bury until the certificate is given. Yeah. But I think in Hindus you can cremate without a certificate. Yeah. So, huh? Panchayat gives the certificate afterwards. Cremation is taken place, everything is taken place, and people come to the doctors for certificate afterwards. You know, it's not a need. It's not mandatory. So because of this, sometimes the cause of death may not be clear. Also, a lot of accidents, especially drowning, the real cause of the drowning sometimes is not known. We do not know whether it was an accidental drowning, or it was a suicide, or it was sometimes a murder. A person was pushed. This is the problems that the police face. Because when we try to get the statistics, the police say, we really don't know the cause of death. You know, postmortems also sometimes they do not know. It's very difficult to know how that person landed in the water. So because of this, the suicide numbers are not very clear. Does the problem end over here? We've shown you such big numbers. Yeah. Does it end over here? Do you think the problem ends with these figures? No, because?
There are potential suicide cases.
What is that? What do you mean by potential suicide?
If they are undergoing stress and they are likely to commit suicide.
Okay.
But they are, I don't know.
Okay, you're right. So you're talking about those people who are thinking about it. So we are looking at people who have actually died. But everyone who's attempted suicide does not die. Right? Not everyone who attempts dies. So for every person that dies to suicide, there are 20 more who have attempted and survived. To remember that. So now the problem has multiplied 20 times. And for every person that has died to suicide, there are 100 more people who are thinking about it. Yeah? Now the problem has multiplied 100 times. So now you know the magnitude of the problem. It's not only those who have died to suicide, it's the number of people who are thinking. And that is where our preventive strategies come into place. That is where we become the gatekeepers. Because the people who are thinking about it will come to us in some form or the other, and we have to be alert to how to deal with it when they express this. Yeah? Understood? Young people, do you think the suicide rate is higher in young people or higher in older people? Huh? Huh?
Adolescent age group, 21, 18 to 21.
Okay. Yeah. So it is higher in the adolescent age group. Okay. Everyone agrees with adolescent? Okay. Okay. Young adults. Okay.
From 25 to 35.
25 to 35. Okay. This side. So if you look at in terms of population, the suicide rate is much higher in the among the older people, the elderlies. But suicide is the #1 killer in younger people. So if you look at over a span, it is the older people that are dying. If you look at per density population among the older people, suicide rate is higher than with younger people. But it's not the leading cause of death in older people. Suicide is not the leading cause. If you look at this thing, it's generally your heart disease and physical ailments which become the leading cause. Suicide is one of the causes. But among younger people between the ages of 15 and 29, suicide is the #1 cause of death in this young population in India. Around the world, it is #2. What is #1? Around the world, suicide is the second leading cause of death in younger people. What is #1? What do you think? Road traffic accidents. And if you see, both road traffic accidents and suicide are preventable conditions. They are preventable. And that's why the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, I think chapter 12, chapter 12, has specifically requested, and India is a signatory to this convention, to say that we are going to work towards all preventable forms of death. Yeah, and therefore suicide and mental health becomes one of the goals for India to work towards. Yeah. Okay, so if you look at students, yeah, if I ask you, see, if you look at global statistics, they say one suicide happens every 40 seconds. So somewhere, someone in the world, every 40 seconds dies to suicide. So what happens at the 41st second? What do you think would happen at the 41st second?
That person
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So there is so many people that have to make sense of that death. So a suicide not only affects a person that is gone, but now it's affecting at least 7 more people. Yes, 7 more people. So you see, we saw 100. Now that 100 can be multiplied into much more. I won't say 100 multiplied into 7, but a large number of people get affected, because not only the person is affected, his family also. Yeah. How many students you think die to suicide in India? What do you think are the numbers? If you look at one student dies to suicide every, give me a time. In India, one student dies to suicide every hour. Agree with her? Disagree with her? Very silent. Make some noise. Carnival is coming now on the 13th. Huh? Do you agree with her or disagree with her?
Maybe less than an hour.
Less than an hour. You're sure or maybe?
No, less than an hour.
Less than an hour. So less than an hour, give me a time.
what level is 40 seconds?
Huh?
Maybe 30 seconds.
No, 40 seconds is global. Now it has to be much more than 40 seconds, no? Yeah. So
So you're restricting only the students.
only students, and we are looking at students only in India.
And still you're saying it's more than the world average?
No, it cannot be 30 seconds. There will be more people and faster. No? It has to be much more. So she's right. She's right. It's both of you were right, but you came like really low. You said less than an hour, so it's just a little less than an hour. So in 2018, it was an hour. Every hour, one student was ending their life to suicide. Last year, it came to a little less than an hour. Yeah. So if you translate that makes 24 to 25 students are dying to suicide every day somewhere in India. That works out, if you calculate for the whole year, it works out to around 9,000 students. Take a college in Goa. What do you think is the strength of a college in Goa? Around 2,000, 3,000 maybe students. So if it's 3,000 students, 3 times the strength of a college, all those students are dying to suicide. Now it seems huge, right? Now it seems huge. Now do you understand why it is important that we have to spend this next 1.5 hours understanding suicide prevention? And what is our role? Yeah? What is our role? And now also I want you to remove the cap of being a counselor. Just remove that cap of being a counselor, because sometimes that cap of being a counselor can actually hamper. Sometimes it actually hampers, because when we look at suicide prevention, we can look at it in 2 ways. One is the medical way, which has been followed all these years, but the medical way is not the only way. And in fact, the medical way is only for severe. Yes, severe. But for a large number of people who are going through stress, it is the non-medical way. It is all about empathy. It is all about empathy, helping the person to restructure their goals, you know. And a lot of this can be done just by our presencing, just by being present into that space that allows a person to just share, you know, just to vent, just to be, you know. It is so very important. Yeah. So I'm going to ask the first question. Okay, we're going to have a few questions. The first question is, what do you all think of people who end their life? What do you think of them? What is your impression of them? They feel helpless. Very good. Okay. They feel helpless. But what is your impression of them? You're telling me what they feel. I want you to think what you think of them. Deborah?
Just felt no way out.
They feel no way out. And what do you think of them? They are not able to cope. So you're telling me all what they are going through, you know?
Probably termed them as cowards,
Escapists. And I'll give you one way of analyzing it. Yeah, we all, as professionals, we'll all say, yeah, they're going through a tough time, they're very stressed. We'll say that. Put yourself in a situation. Imagine you've attended the funeral of someone who's ended their life. A mother, okay, who has 2 little children, okay, and she probably got married around 5 years back, okay, and she has ended her life. She hung herself. Now you're going for this funeral. Everyone stands in line to wish the family. What do we tell the husband? Take care, be strong. You know, we say all these nonsense things which make no sense. But it's because we have to say something, right? Yeah, God will bless you, she's in a better place, blah, 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 blah. Right? You know, we don't mean any of that. But we just have to say it. We say it, we go. And then they give us tea after the funeral. No, tea is served somewhere. So we're all having the tea. What do you think is the gossip happening over there? What do you think people are actually saying over there about the woman who died? What do you think now? Huh? Yeah, see?
Didn't even think about.
Didn't even think about the children. Huh? What else?
Find the reason. What was the reason that she died?
What was the reason? I like that. Yeah. Now the gossip. You know what? Maybe he was not being good to her. Maybe he was having an affair. La 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 la. So all the gossip of the causes will come out. Yeah. What else? So we basically undermine, you know, and that's when we begin to feel that we are probably cowards. You know, she could have, you know, why didn't she go for help? You know, we were there, you know, was that the only solution? All our psychological theories that poor thing, they were stressed, they were helpless, all that is thrown down the gutter. And I'll tell you, it is thrown down the gutter by psychiatrists, by psychologists, by psychiatric social workers, by suicide prevention specialists, by everybody. Because that's our true nature comes out of it. You know? I'm telling you, this is the fact. This is the fact. You know? And that shows who we really are as people. Okay? We put on that whole garb of being very empathetic in our workplace. That garb is removed once we leave the workplace. You know, that garb is seen at home. You know, your families will tell you who you really are. You know? This is a fact. Okay? So this is what people really think of them. But are they really selfish? Are they really escapists? Are they really, is that what we are saying over there, is that what the truth is? I'm asking you.
No.
It is not always. Not always. Most of the time it is it could be impulsive, it could be desperation, or it could be that they've actually gone somewhere for help but they did not get the help. You know, it could be so many reasons. It takes a lot of guts to end your life. It's not easy. And if you have reached to that point, it is something has made you reach to that point. Yeah? So it is never easy to take one's life. So now I'm asking the second question, because people say they couldn't have gone for help. So I'm asking you, do people who think of suicide, do they actually go for help?
Not always.
Not always. They do not know who to go to. Yeah, very good. And even if they go,
Even if they go, people will not make it.
and even if they go to, people may not entertain them. Very good. Very good. Or they might entertain them, but not understand the severity.
There's also a lot of secrecy to suicide. I mean, I'm planning it, I'm thinking about it, so it's all a very lonely decision.
It's a very lonely decision-making process. Yes. 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 Yeah. So what the studies show that almost 80% of people who are thinking of dying, they actually go to someone for help. 80%. But they may not always get the kind of help that they need. Yeah? But that's very alarming. So if 80% of people have gone for help, why have they not got the help? This is from us, from the other side, to contemplate. And that is the reason of these workshops. To build in people who will be now more sensitive and more alert to the need and respond. That response has to be important, to respond adequately. Yeah? You understand, no? Yeah. So that is why we do these workshops. And now how is that help sought? Sometimes directly. People will come directly and say, I want to end my life. Directly, I just feel like I can't do it anymore. I want to die. Now, if someone comes and tells you, I want to die, what is our response? How do we react? First of all, is it very easy to hear that, I want to die? It's not easy. And when you hear something which is not easy, what are the two responses? Fight or flight. Very often people run away. They run away. Many people will just run away from this. Really? That one is there, or that one is there. And they start referring, to somebody else because they can't handle it. Or they'll give quick fix solutions to finish it off and to run away. Yeah, that quick fix solutions come in. And most often these quick fix solutions are not what that person wants at that point in time. Yeah? So we need, and another way people express is not directly but indirectly. So what are the indirect ways? What?
Behavior.
Yeah, behavior. What would be their behavior? Sudden loss of interest in activities, withdrawing. Anything else? Bad eating habits, sleep gets affected.
Even in the house, they will not interact.
They will not interact, not interested. Irritability can come up.
A sense of edginess.
Edginess. Increase in the consumption of drugs. Increase in the consumption of alcohol and substances, risky behavior, recklessness. All these can be behavioral manifestations of something happening more deeper. Verbally, what would be some of the words that people may say? I'm fed up. I'm fed up. I can't do this anymore. I wish I was not born. I wish I was not alive. Yeah, so many things are said which are indicators to something which is happening more deeper. Yeah. So it is for us to pick on these, and to handle it appropriately. Yeah. This is very important. So this is the part of the workshop where I love the most. I think Linda has done this with me before. Yeah. So where I need a volunteer. This is the time of the workshop also where everyone does namaste and they don't want to look at me. Yeah, I need a volunteer. Oh, Deborah, nice. So Deborah, I need you to have a mic also. She can use that. okay, that's right. That's right. Yeah, you'll be able to.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, which situation will we take? Okay. So. Okay, so I just, you're my teacher, yeah? And I just got my results. I'll take something more easier, okay? I got my results, and I just saw my results, and I'm a bright student actually, yeah? I'm a bright student. And I'm sitting in the corner over here, all sad, sulking, and you're passing by, and you say, hi Peter, what happened? Yeah? So we'll start the conversation that way, okay?
Hi, Peter. What happened? You seem very low.
Ma'am, you saw the results, no, ma'am?
Yes.
I failed, ma'am.
Oh. Is that why you're upset?
Yes, ma'am. No, anyone would get upset, no? How could they do this to me? You know, ma'am, I was supposed to top, right?
So what does it make you feel? What are you feeling about it?
Feeling horrible, ma'am. Just horrible. How could they do this to me? I don't know what to do now. I just don't know what I should do.
Okay,
Ma'am,
so
teacher, what do you think I should do now? I can't even go home. I mean, what should I do? I mean, it's finished for me. It's over. I mean, there's no point anymore.
okay, so I see you're very upset, right?
I'm
You-
furious, ma'am.
You feel a sense of helplessness and anger as well.
Yeah, but what should I do, ma'am, now?
You seem to be worried about what they will say at home regarding your marks.
You know right now what they're doing? You know what they're doing right now? My father has gone and already bought all the pedas. He said, as soon as you come home, I'm going to go and distribute it to the whole village. How can I show my face there now? How can I? It's over. I'm fed up. I don't think I can do this anymore.
You feel very let down, and you're furious as well at the same time.
Yeah. But what's the point? What's the point of studying? This whole year I slogged so much, and now everyone is laughing at me. They were playing and they were fooling around and they all passed, and look at me. Is this fair? This is not fair at all. This is not fair, absolutely. No way, I don't accept this. I don't accept this.
Yes, I understand it's not fair. And it is making you angry and upset as well. I see
Ma'am,
that.
can you do something? Can you put a word in the principal? You know that I'm a good student. Can you put in a word? See, it's all in the principal's hand, no? Can you put in a word?
What will be the purpose?
So I'll pass.
Does it matter?
It does. Ma'am, you missed the point. I want to pass. It does matter. Otherwise, what's the point? I mean, it's over. It's Anyone wants to help her? Anyone wants to take her? So far, she was very good. I think Deborah needs a hand.
Thank you.
Very good, huh? Your Nirmala Institute is good. It's good. Yeah. A student. I want students.
Sister.
I'm telling sister, come sister.
Don't worry. Just take the mic, make mistakes. We'll all learn. Yeah, ma'am, I do not know what I'm going to do anymore. I think I can't go home, and you're not also willing to help me to go to the principal. So it's like, I have no option.
Dr. Peter, I don't think
I'm
it
not
is.
Dr. Peter, I'm Peter. I failed in my Hindi exam.
Peter, I don't think it's a big problem for you at this moment. You have done well for the previous exam. This is the only time that you have failed.
Then, ma'am, will you all pass me? I'll be left behind in 5th standard. Everyone is going up to 6th standard.
You will not be left behind.
You will pass me?
Yeah, according to the rule, till 8th standard you can be promoted. So don't get worried about it.
Okay. Ma'am, I failed in 9th standard. They have not promoted me to 10th standard. Bottoms up. Ma'am, I'm in 9th standard. They're not passing me to 10th standard. I have to answer my board exams.
But still there is a chance for you re-exam. You can do better. You can study.
But then I'll waste 6 months.
You will not waste. There is an exam within a 1 month where you can do better and you can
No,
get
ma'am,
promoted.
I want to pass now. I'll be considered as a failure. No. And today what will happen? Today when I go home, my father will start drinking then and he'll hit me.
That is only your thinking. Your parent
You know
may-
my father. No. I think it's over.
Okay, I'll try and see. I'll speak to your father. I'll call your father here and I'll make him understand.
You don't know my father. He'll kick you out. You don't know him. Thank you, sister. Thank you, sister. Okay. What was the difference between the two approaches? Deborah's approach and sister's approach.
Deborah's was more empathetic. Kept repeating your feelings to you.
Yeah, so
Sister was giving you solutions.
sister was constantly trying to reassure me, give me solutions, and that she doesn't know. She's looking from her perspective. She was looking at it from her perspective. Deborah was trying to empathize with me, was trying to look at life from my situation. Where did Deborah get stuck?
And you asked her to go to the principal.
Yeah, so I started go to the principal. I started telling, but there are solutions, there are things. She was still trying her best. But then she made one mistake. What did she say? What does that matter? How does that matter? Oh gosh. Then the empathy, whatever empathy she built went crashing down. Whatever empathy, whatever she was trying to be with me and understand my feelings all went down when I felt, oh my God, now she doesn't even understand why I need to pass. So it's so careful that the empathy remains right through the conversation, and therefore our alertness. And therefore what happens is we get frightened. At one point in time we get, oh my God, now what? I finished all the emotions, all the feelings, now what? We are going in circles, right? We are going in circles. But where did you get stuck at? You got stuck at one thing. And where could this conversation have gone ahead? I kept saying one thing and I'm saying no one's speaking. Ah, thank you. I like my Remanso stuff. Yes, very good. So what could we have done with that?
What I feel,
Ask me, don't feel, come. No, okay, stand there and talk to me. Or sit down and talk to me. Sit down and talk to me. No, sit. Okay, so the conversation. So I think it's over. I can't do anything about this. I mean, if I can't go home and y'all are not willing to help me, then what is the use? Talk to me. Yeah, Peter. I'm Peter only.
as you say, there is all what is that all over?
What do I mean by it's all over? Good question. Yeah, I mean, it's all over. I mean, what's the point now? What's the point of life now? What can I do? I'm stuck now. I mean, all my dreams, whatever I had now, there is no way out. You know, if I can't even go home and I here in not passing where, I have no place to go. So life is over for me.
You feel life is over.
I feel life is over for me. Yes. Thank you. Very important question. And this is where we all get stuck. This is where we all feel afraid. Now what? Because now I'm going to be opening a Pandora's box. Will I be able to handle what comes in next? Yeah? Most people get stuck over here and then they get into giving advice. Yeah? But for me, I'm actually genuinely feeling that it is over. And in my head, I might even think a lot more about that what is over. Now you need to clarify. But I'm going to ask you the next question. Is it okay and is it wise, is it safe to ask directly, are you feeling suicidal? Are you contemplating death? Do you want to die? Is it okay to ask this question directly? No. No. Yes. No. Okay, so we have, how many of you are saying yes? The rest are saying no. Now I want you all to talk to each other. Okay. So if you all are saying yes, it's because?
At times you don't know what is your feeling, and then when you ask personally, okay, these are the symptoms of suicide, saying, yes, I am feeling that.
So you're checking the reality of what they're thinking. That's what you're saying. We need to check on that reality. You all are saying no because? You're putting that word in their mind.
Maybe even if he has not thought.
Even if he's not thought about it, now he's going to think about it. So they'll do more damage, right? Now, answer her.
But he's already saying.
But he's already saying.
But mention that he wants to die.
But he's not mentioned that he wants to die.
Cannot say directly.
He cannot say directly. Now, how would you know?
It's all over for me. What does that mean?
Huh?
It's
That,
all over for me. Not like to him.
that thought might not have struck to him. It may not have struck to him. He might just say it's over, but to genuinely to do something may not be there. Now you're putting that thought in his mind.
And that part of that situation is making
Huh?
him low. That situation is making him low. That's why he's saying that I'm feeling low. That's over.
That situation may be feeling low, but the reality may not be that he actually wants to do it. And now by asking that question directly, you're going to put that thought in their mind. Now who's right? Now finally, should we ask or we should not ask? Again, I'm going to ask this question. Should we ask that suicidal question directly? Everyone changed their mind.
When you want to assess in what level the person, and if the child says, yes, I want to commit suicide, then we know that we have to work, yes. Then we go
So the
on.
teachers are saying that we have to ask the question. Do the students agree with the teachers? They have to agree. See, the teachers themselves are not sure, huh? Yeah, they're sure.
When the person says
finished, ask him what he meant by what.
So that's what she asked me. She asked me that. What do you mean by finished? And I'm saying what I meant is that I can't do this anymore. I'm also not, I can't go home, I cannot go here. And I'm saying that again and again and again, you know. It's over for me. Life is over for me. Now you want to... These are all the hints that I'm giving. Now, do we ask directly? So how do you take the conversation ahead then? How do you take this conversation ahead?
Can you clarify what exactly you're thinking and what do you mean by your life move? What it's finished?
Yeah, it's finished. I can't do this anymore. And
What's going on?
see, remember what Linda said some time back. She said something very, very important. You remember what you said? It is a secret. It is a secret that is playing in your mind. See, suicide, what word people say? He committed suicide. Why do they use the word commit? Because we committed two things. We committed sin or we committed an illegal action, you know. No, we broke the law. No, we committed a crime. We committed, you know. So we either broke the law by committing something or we committed sin. Suicide was considered sinful and it was considered a crime. Now with the new Mental Health Act, the crime aspect has been removed. The sin aspect has been, in many religions, they begin to understand that there are two broad causes of suicide. One is out of your own disability, your lack of coping, and the other is because where you're trained to suicide. You know, you're a jihadist, you are a terrorist bomber, suicide bomber. So over there, the religious bodies say that is still a sin. That is a sin. That is still a crime. Yeah. But where it is coming from desperation, from the lack of coping, is no more considered sinful. Yeah, and therefore before. People who ended their life are not buried in the church, and now they're very well buried in the church, because there's no more a sin. So no more we use the word commit suicide. We say the person died to suicide. Yeah, these terms are very important because those words commit is actually adds on to people saying, if I express my thought of dying, I will be looked as sinful. I will be looked as weak. I will be looked as a criminal. You know, they might take me to the police station. If I'm taken to the hospital, the cops will come over. You know, and so forth. They hide, and also to tell people that I want to die sometimes directly. That is very. So they say it indirectly. So it is going on. The process is going on in the mind. What did I say? I said 20 people attempted and survived. They wouldn't, and 80% of this have actually gone for help, but they have not got the kind of help. Because when we are afraid to ask the question, we are on the fringes, but we are not going into the depth. We need to ask directly, are you thinking of ending your life? Are you planning a suicide? You need to ask directly. Your teachers are right. This is a myth that if we ask this question, we'll be planting a thought in their mind. In fact, it is how you ask the question. See, if the question comes from a point of care, concern, you know, that I'm there for you, and you know, whatever you're feeling, just spill it out, just express it. From that point, if it is spoken, the way you will ask that question also, the person will know that you're genuine. You really want to help me. You want to be with me in my pain. And you will clarify, no, I think it's over, but I'm not thinking of really dying. I'm not thinking of dying. I don't want to die, I want to live. But it's just that I feel so helpless in this situation. I can't handle this situation that I feel it's over for me. You know, they'll clarify. But someone who's genuinely thinking of suicide, they will tell you yes. Because people have thought of suicide, they have planned their suicide, and they have attempted. And that's happening every day. So many are doing it. And we are afraid to ask them. So in our clinical assessment, we are failing them. Yeah? In our clinical assessment, we are failing if we do not complete the assessment. Yeah? So it is a myth. We will never put a thought in the mind. But yes, there have been suicides where, you want to end your life? Come on, let's see. More like a challenge, and he's already vulnerable. Yes, people have attempted suicide in those cases. If it's taken as a challenge and in a state of mind which is not really strong, it has happened. So it's all about how we ask that question. And I tell you, the best way to ask a question is direct. The best way is to ask directly in a very, in a manner which the person will understand that you are there to help him. What more do you want to know? What is the next question? What do we want to know?
How often you feel that?
Huh?
What is in your mind?
What is in my mind?
How often do you feel that?
How often do I feel it? What is in my mind? How strong? Yeah, so so there is an assessment over here. See, if anyone tells you that they're going to end their life, they want to end their life, okay, what do we need to know if we want to help them? Let's talk. We're talking. We are talking. In the conversation now we want to know more, no? Yeah, that will all come in later on. That can come in later. But I'm saying right now, in this moment, when we already know that he's already saying that he wants to end his life, what more do we ask? We've asked the question, do you want to end your life? He said, yes. What do you want to know? How serious it is? How serious? At what level it is? So, what questions to ask now? We'd want to know how he wants. Does he have a plan in mind? Has he already thought of that plan? Yes. Yeah. Has he already thought of a plan? What is that plan? Does he have the means to execute that plan? When? Where? We want to know all the details. Yeah? Difficult to ask these questions, right? It's not easy. It's not easy. And now you know why this work is not very easy. Because you have to ask such tough questions. Yeah? But you have to ask these questions. So suppose now you ask me that question. Yes. I mean, do you want to end your life? I said yes. The next question would be, do you have a plan? And I'll say, yes, I was thinking on my way home that there is a bridge. And maybe I could jump off that bridge. That thought came in my mind. What would be your next question? How would you take this conversation ahead? Hello?
There is someone down there, maybe a boatman, someone, and if you are saved, then what you will do?
And what if there is no boatman? I will go, now you give me an idea. I will go and I'll jump and the boatman goes. I didn't think of this earlier, but now you put it in my mind. Yeah, so what you're doing right now, what was she trying to do right now?
Buying consequences.
No, she was not buying time. What she was trying to do was desperately try to save me. Now she's trying to desperately try to save me. And this, generally, we do not practice. Yeah? Because it breaks away from, what it breaks away from? Huh? It breaks away from empathy. It breaks away from that control that person wants. Because right now, that is the only thing he has. That's the only solution he has, right? And we're breaking that also. If you cut off that, then he's like, there's nothing, now what? So we allow him to have that control. And what do we do in the meantime? We build in, like you were saying, what are the options? We build in the options now. Yeah? We open up the conversation. So at this time, what we need to do is, we need to buy time. This is where we need to buy time. Do not take the control away from him. Say, yes, It is such a difficult situation, and for you right now it looks like suicide is the only way out. Yeah, so that we are empathizing with his need, and I'm sure if things were different, this would not have been an option for you. Yeah, it's so difficult for you. And he might begin to say, oh yes, if things were different, why would I want to end my life? The conversation would go that way. Can we just sit down and let's talk, okay? After we talk, you go and do whatever you want to do. Then open up the conversation. See, he's closed in. Maybe his father's not all that bad, or maybe his father is bad, and his father's bad not only today, his father's been bad all this time, right? So there has been some coping that has worked before. So try to figure out what that coping was. What helped in the situation when his father was bad? Maybe his mother was the positive strength in the family. So maybe if he approaches the mother, the mother will be able to handle the situation. So at that time, what has happened is tunnel vision. Because of tunnel vision, he's not able to see all the past and the resources he had in the past. So we need to start the conversation and then show him, but these things did work for you, and maybe do you think this would work now? He might say, yes, it has worked in the past. You just needs to diffuse all that negative emotions, and then rational thinking begins to come in. But that thinking will come in when you start the process of exploration. But do not take the control away from him. After some time, you can ask him again in the conversation, do you still feel like ending your life? Does the thought still come? And he might say, now it's not coming anymore. He might just say that. Yeah? Because he has got another pillar to hold on to. Yeah? He's got another pillar to hold on to. So this is very, very important. Suppose I said, yes, I want to end my life, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, same thing. I've got some poison, okay? I've got some poison at home, and I'm going to consume that. Or say, forget poison, I've got something with me. I'd carried something, my mom had asked me to buy something, it's there with me, I bought it, and I think I'm going to drink this. What will we do? What will we do over here? Try to get that off him by not removing the control away from him. Keeping that control, what is that? Can I see the bottle? This is the name and all. Okay, let's keep it over here, And quietly when you're talking, just pull it aside. It has been done very gently, and then take it away from him. On phone calls, sometimes we get people want to consume tablets. So what we ask them straight away is, please tell us what tablets. Tell us the number of tablets that you have with you. Yeah? Tell us everything. Why? Because in case, and also we ask them a question, would you want help? We don't say we are sending. No, we don't panic. Do you want help? If they say yes, can you give us your address? Would you want us to send an ambulance? Would you want us to send the police? Just last week, one fellow called us and he said, I have taken the poison and I've given it to my family, my mother, my wife, and everyone. They're all slipping into coma. I'm still living. Now I'm getting frightened. Now I want help. He called us and said, can you please call the police? I'm trying, but no one is picking up. He called our helpline. We called the police went, and right now I do not know what has happened. But so people, even after they've consumed it, they call. So at that time, before they slip into a coma, we need to know. So we have to collect all the information. Yeah, it is very important. But in your situation, most often what will happen is you will have to buy time. Most often. Yeah. But if you find that the person is in a danger zone or has something which is dangerous, try and take that away from you. Very important, they will start, because this is where we have to break some of our principles. Okay, they will ask you a question. See, I'm telling you on here, please don't tell this to anybody. How do we answer this? I have to report it. My God, please don't say that. Please don't say that.
If it happens, then you will also be involved in it.
You will.
That moment we say yes. Yes.
Oh, so this is very, it's not easy. It is not easy, and we all we flounder here. It's not a very easy thing. We make mistakes, but generally we do not promise confidentiality. Yeah, so sometimes we just avoid that answer. We don't give them a direct answer. We try to evade the question, you know. Like Deborah was really good. Every time asking, what should I do, what should I do, she did not give me a solution. Yeah, she held her ground. Very good. This is what we train people. Do not give a solution. Do not advise. Yeah, and you really held on. Very good. So, same way we can evade this, you know. Okay, I know confidential is very important for you, but what is it about? You know, just don't say yes, don't say no. Yeah? Very important. Yeah. So now we have done a risk assessment. So how we do a risk assessment, there are many tools that are used. But what we can do is something very simple. We ask them, are you feeling suicidal? Yes, no. If it is no, it is grade 0. Risk level 0. If it is yes, risk level 1. Do you have a plan? Yes or no. If it is no, it remains at risk level 1. If it is yes, it comes to risk level 2. Do you have the means to execute that plan? Yes, no. No, it remains at 2. Yes, it comes to 3. Okay, are those means and is the danger imminent? Do you plan to do it like in the next few hours? Risk level 4. Yeah, risk level 4. When it is at risk level 3 and 4, you should never leave the person alone. Never leave the person alone. And what they say, the supervision has to be at 1 arm's distance. So at this distance, we have to be 1 meter distance rather, you know. At this distance, we have to be with the person at all times. And I'll explain to you this. I had one case many years back. He was at level 3, suicidal. Yeah, and I wanted to admit him in hospital, but we had just given him ECTs. He had improved, and then he was feeling suicidal again. He was an elderly man, and it was the India-Pakistan World Cup cricket finals. The family said, "Doc, we want to see the finals. Can we take him home? We will maintain to whatever you want." And I said, "This distance supervision." He says, "Yes, we have many of us in the family. We will look after him." And the match was going on, and the father was sitting, and they were all there. And then I think India hit a sixer, and everyone were like dancing and this thing. And then they sat down and said, "But where's Dad? Dad's missing." And then they go around searching the whole house, and they find his slippers outside the well. He had jumped. Yeah. So it is in that fraction of a second that the father escaped and he got out. So sometimes, even if you're giving 1 meter distance, you have to be constantly alert, because in that fraction of a second, anything can happen. Yeah. So the alertness. The second thing is, if you are making a contract, many people make a contract with the person. Okay. If you are going home, we sign a contract that you will be. I will be available to you 24 hours. So these 24 contracts which people have made are at high risk. If you're making a contract, you have to fulfill that contract. So again, I learned the hard way. I was a young psychiatrist, made a huge mistake. So again, I told this family, he is at high risk. I'm admitting him in the hospital. The father said, no, I'm taking him home. So because of that, I feel a little bit more thing that I told them to admit in the hospital. They said no. Then I told the son, okay, I will send you home, but I will make a contract. But at that time, I just studied what a contract was. I said, let me put it into practice. I had not known much about suicide prevention. So I said, see, if you feel suicidal at any time, call me up. I will be available to you. Next morning, it was Sunday, I went to church. And when I came back from Mass and I left my phone at home, I saw some 10 or 11 missed calls from this number. I called him back, and by then he had already hung himself. Yeah? So I realized these contracts don't work for me. And it is better to be safeguarded because we cannot be available all the time. Yeah. So they do talk about contracts, but contracts work in institutions where people are available completely for that time. Yeah, like in our helpline, our volunteers are there 4 hours, they are there during their duty time. At that time, you can make a contract. Yeah, but you cannot make like a 24-hour contract. So be wary on your limitations when you do such things. Okay. Okay, so we spoke of the risk levels, yeah, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, high risk. Yeah, we're already 3:30. Any questions? Any questions?
Is it true, doctor, that antidepressants are also cause of suicide?
Yes, yes. So antidepressants are like a double-edged sword, you know. Though antidepressants are meant to improve the mood, some of them in the initial 1 month, or not even 1 month, actually 1 to 2 weeks, it can worsen the depression and it can lead to suicidal thoughts. Yeah, so there are some antidepressants more than the others that can cause this. It's very tough. We do not know that in this person this is going to cause, but it can happen. Yes, it can happen. It can happen.
Even after several sessions of counseling, or whatever, the person approaches for counseling, suicidal tendencies, and then the person gets such a thought, and then they just end up there.
Yeah, so there is an assist program, okay, which has taught us so much in suicide prevention. So what they do is, we need to help the person prepare a safety plan for himself. Yeah, so when a thought comes, see, generally when a thought comes, we are helpless, we do not know how to handle it. You know, we do not know how to handle it. But if the person knows, yes, this thought could come again. Okay, see, once you have a suicidal ideation, there's a high chance that you may have it again. Once you've had a suicide attempt, there are high chances that you could attempt again. So the person needs to always equip and empower himself that in case that thought comes, he has a plan for himself, how he's going to handle. So he has to know his positive resources. Yeah, he needs to be aware of all the contexts where he can go for help. Okay, sometimes it is internal help where he can get it from himself, and the external resources. Yeah, both resources he needs to be aware of. Yeah, he needs to keep numbers always at hand. Okay, so we always identify who are the top 3 people you can call up. Okay, if one person is not available, who's the second person? Who's the third person? Okay, if not this helpline is busy, what are the other helplines? You know, if not this, which is the closest relative you can call? You know, so we give them a whole list of things. So he's now better prepared to handle. See, initially when you get it and you're not prepared, it's very alarming. You know, but once you're kind of used to it, I mean, if the thought keeps coming and you're prepared, you're able to handle it. Like there was one of our people who was admitted. And I can talk about her because she openly talks about it, and she has come on our programs and she openly speaks about it. So she has bipolar, and sometimes she's very, very manic and very happy. But when she slips into her depression, she almost always gets these suicidal ideas. So once I remember, she called our helpline and she said, I've already taken the tablets, okay? But I'm just calling because while I'm dying, I want someone to be with me. I don't want to die alone. And we says, okay. Then we asked her, like, what are the tablets you took? What are the names? And she told us everything. She was on lithium, so I took around 40 lithium tablets, and I've taken this. And she says, now I'm beginning to feel drowsy. And then we asked her, okay, would you want help to come? And she says, no, I don't want help. Fair enough. You don't want help. You want to die peacefully. Fair enough. We respect that decision of yours. Then we started talking because we knew her, you know. So we started talking about her other life and about her son, who she really loves. And then she spoke about religion. She was a practicing Catholic, and we said, you know, all these years you really struggled through depression, and God must be really proud of you. She said, yes, He must be very proud of me. But now He might feel that I have abandoned Him. We said, do you feel that way? Do you think there's anything that can be done right now? She says, maybe if I go to the hospital and if I survive, maybe God will understand. We said, yeah, maybe. Says, would you like that option? She said, yes, I don't mind trying it right now. If I get a chance to survive, I'll survive. I mean, this. And then we spoke about her son also, who she was very dear to, and he had cancer, and how she was his biggest strength. So we brought in all the resources, and that's when she says, no, please call. I said, see, by the time we send the ambulance from MAPSA, it'll be a lot. Do you have any contact? She said, my regular taxi fellow. Can you call him? Yes, I'll call him. Can you give us his number also, just in case you cannot? So we called, she called. She was in the hospital the next half an hour, and till today she's alive. Yeah. So it's important to allow them the control, yet open up resources and then fit the resources into their plan for positive change. Yeah, so that's important. Yeah. Any other questions? So being alert to the warning signs, no, that is very, very important. And the warning signs, as we said, are both verbal as well as behavioral. Yeah, being alert to that is important. And if anyone says that they're feeling fed up, they're feeling hopeless, they're feeling like life is not worth living, take it seriously. See, this is where sometimes we get, are people just pulling our leg? Are they just fooling around? Do they really want to end their life, or are they seeking attention? See, this thing comes in our mind. It comes in our mind. I mean, recently there was one case where this one was posting videos all over on Facebook saying that she wants to end her life and so many things. And my coordinator came to me and says, what we should do, everyone's calling us. And so in that case, we actually knew it was complete drama. It was complete drama. But we said, let us follow the principles. Because what if at this point, it is not drama? You know? To an onlooker, it looks, because you're exposing everything to the whole world. Why would anyone do it, you know? But then maybe that person is not not being really very rational in their thinking, you know? So we said, let's take it seriously. When we heard the person out, we said we are there, whatever. That's when we realized that the person was using the suicide thing for other gains, for secondary gains. But from our side, we took it seriously. Yeah? So it's important to take it seriously and assess it for yourself. Yeah? That is important. The next thing is post-suicide. Suppose someone has attempted suicide and has survived, that person needs continuous care and continuous support. Yeah? So what we do for almost 2 years, we try to be with that person continuously till we know now the person has kind of understood himself, has grown, is able to manage thoughts when they come in. Yeah.
A very positive message which will tell them whatever they have faced when they are something to say that this
Yeah. Yeah, actually in the pandemic it did worsen. I think, as Deborah mentioned, it did worsen because a lot of people were just stuck in, and a lot of young people died during that. I mean, I lost some of my people also, you know. It was very, very bad because generally they would have gone out of their houses. There were other ways they would handle their stress, but now they were all just stuck inside, and that stress built up, and a lot of people did die. You know, yeah, a lot. Emerging studies during the pandemic had shown in certain countries, like in Kuwait, very interesting. In Kuwait, the number of suicides doubled during the pandemic time. So yeah, but this too will pass. This too will pass in the sense. See, it's all about. Whenever we are faced with a stress, see, some people make everything stressful. You know, everything is stress for them. But I think for us, we need to understand with time. You know, I mean, if you're looking at for students, they need to understand, because a lot of it is impulsive behaviors, right? So they need to assess, okay, will this affect me in the next 1 year? or will this affect me in the next 5 years? See, if it's something going to affect me in the next 5 years, affect my career, yes, I need to take it seriously. I need to work around it. But if it's not going to affect me for the next, say, 6 months, 1 year, why do I even bother about it? Like, someone said something about me, someone spread a rumor about me. Some people just cannot handle that. But 5 years hence, are you going to even think about that? It's not going to matter. So why waste your energy on something that is useless? But yes, if you look at something which is like an exam, and if there is a chance that you could get higher marks, better marks, and do a re-evaluation or something, and pass that exam, because if you don't pass that exam, maybe it might affect your career choices, or maybe you may not get admission in a particular college, then go ahead and do it. Work on that, spend time on that. But we cannot take everything and do everything, try to change everything, so that's something which we need to kind of figure out. Maybe that is the message you're looking for. Okay, thank you. Okay.
If we know that a person is at risk level 3 and 4, we as teachers, we realize that our students are at risk level 3 and 4. So how do we make sure? Now, as you said, we cannot go away from them. They have to be at arm's length. But what do we do to make sure that that person doesn't commit suicide? Or how do we seek for professional help? Or what do we do as teachers?
See, now it depends. So at many institutions, people have asked this question. Suppose the student comes to us during college hours and tells us this. So what really helps, first of all, is listening, empathetic listening. We need to be there with the person, listen to the person, and as we're listening, build up on the positive resources. That alone sometimes can tip away the feeling from the strong suicidal feeling can come down. If it doesn't come down, do not keep this information with you. You have to share it. Share it with your principal. Okay, so you build up a resource team for yourself. The principal inform the parents. Very often they will say, but don't inform my parents. If you do not inform your parents, and if he does something, forever hold your peace. You need to inform the parents. Okay? And that's what. And then you need to allow you should ask the parents to come here and pick up the child and go for him. So you need to build the resources and ask the parents then to take the child home and take the. You need to also inform the parents how serious this is, because very often parents may not take this seriously also. They also might just say, no, he's just fooling around.
Messages at 1:15 at night, you may not see me tomorrow. Then I see that message 6 o'clock in the morning the next day. Now how do as teachers or the caregivers, how do we handle that situation, our panic situation?
So it is not easy. It is not easy, and not everyone has the capacity to be alert and at 6 in the morning and at 1:15 at night. So it is something which no individual person can live with. It's very, very difficult, and therefore building a team.
What is the first thing I do, sir, at 6 o'clock in the morning?
So I told you, it's where I don't have an answer to it. I don't. If you have the capacity, you can reply. You can send the message. Say, hold on, we can talk once we reach the college. You can put in a message that way. But I'm saying it's important that institutions build in a response to such kind of problems that arise among students. Very often institutions do not have a crisis intervention. So what happens is one teacher, and generally the teacher who is more empathetic, has to handle all these cases. It is humanly impossible. So this needs to be shared. And that can be shared only if there is a kind of an intervention program on mental health in your institutions.
Referring to the guilt that you actually also experience. Like for
felt guilt because I told him that I will be available. You know, I didn't keep up my end of the bargain. Yeah. I didn't think that March would come in. I didn't even think about it. But yes, it does play on my mind, but eventually that kind of dies off to say that we have tried our best. You know? And even now, people are involved in suicide prevention work. It is very important for us to believe that we have done our best. More than that, we tell everyone, you are not here to save. As soon as you think that you are a savior, you are putting yourself under tremendous pressure. You are not. You are there. We call ourselves befrienders. We are befrienders. We are there to be there. And we can do only that much. Beyond that, we cannot do. If the person still chooses to end his life, he chooses to end his life. Because we are working in a system which is inadequate. If you look at all the causes and the pathways to suicide, there's so many pathways. And I'll tell you, for instance, once recently, before the lockdown, a gentleman came to my clinic. He's from Maharashtra. He came in alone. And he said, I've been trying to end my life and nothing is working. And he says, what have you tried? He said, I took Ratol also 2 days back and that has not worked. He doesn't know that he is going to die. Ratol doesn't work in 2 days. On the third or fourth day, he's going to start getting symptoms. Now, he is alone in Goa. His family is in Maharashtra. He has not even told his family that he has consumed Ratol because the family is the source of the stress. Now, he is alone in my clinic. What do I do? What do I do? So, I asked him, would you like to go to the hospital? He says, okay. So I called the police, I called the ambulance, and they took him to the hospital. No, but in some cases, like they will say, see, I'm feeling like dying, I want to die, but I can't get admitted, I don't have the money. I don't have the money. If I go to IPHB look at me and say that you don't need admission or you need someone to stay with you and no one can stay with me, they'll say, okay, I'll fight it. I'll fight with that thought. And they go home. See, there is no, like in many countries, they have a space where people who are feeling suicidal can be kept there for 10 to 15 days, for a month, which is not a mental hospital. You see, because not everyone who thinks of dying have really a genuine, deep psychological problem where they need to be kept in a psychiatric hospital. They just need a space where they can talk, they can feel free, they can express themselves, and they can, just rejuvenate. There aren't places like this, and a safe space which has got like no fans, and so till that thought comes down, there aren't spaces like this. So we have limitations, we have limitations. Access to drugs, access to Ratol, again limitations.
Doctor, this question has come from the online. When you spoke about the contract, you want to know what did you actually need. This is a teacher asking.
Yeah, so a contract says that I'm available for you. Yeah, so now what people do is they make 2-hour contracts, 3-hour contracts. Say on a Friday between 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, I'm available to you. So if you're getting anything you want to share, getting a suicidal thought, you can talk to me during these 3 hours. Or maybe he's available for a longer period of time. But during the time when you're saying you're going to be available, you have to be available. Yeah? Or a contract can even be, I'm available during this time, so-and-so, say this hospital is available at so-and-so time. So you break it up into timings. So what I do is now I begin to give people not only my helpline, because my helpline is only from 1 to 7 p.m. Monday to Friday. 2525, yeah. So it's from Monday to Friday between 1 and 7. But what if someone wants to talk after 7, before 1? So then I also give them other helplines. Like there's Sneha, which is a 24-hour helpline. There is Samaritans, which is like I think a 12-hour helpline. So there are other helplines in India, So we give them other sources of help also. We give them hospitals. We increase their resources that they could reach out to, in case they need help. But the contract is more about your personal thing with him and your availability. Yeah. Contracts also help to buy time. Yeah, they also help to buy time. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Peter, for your valuable insight and sharing your experience. It was indeed such an enlightening session for all of us, an eye-opening session for all of us, and I'm sure we all enjoyed it, especially the little demo as well. William Arthur Ward beautifully says, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. I now request my classmate, Sister Greta Lobo, to present a token of appreciation to Dr. Peter. Thank you once again, sir. We are indeed grateful. I call upon my classmate, Ms. Parimal Desai, to give the vote of thanks.
Respected Sir, Dr. Peter Castelino, faculty members, and my dear colleagues and the guests. It gives me a great pleasure to stand up before you to give vote of thanks. It has been a very interesting and enlightening talk today, by which we are richly benefited with the knowledge of how to prevent suicide. On behalf of Nirmala Institute of Education, I therefore thank Dr. Peter Castelino profoundly, Director Dr. Rita Pais, Principal Dr. Delia Antau, all the faculty members for supporting us, Sir Raymond for guiding us through the entire process of conceptualized and for designing the theme for the entire program, administration staff and MTA staff for all their tireless help and support. And final word, I would like to say that we all present here will strive to be torch bearers and carry this movement forward to the best of our ability. Thanks once again.